Hey, I'm Jordan Reynolds, and not only am I a full-time working voice actor in Los Angeles, but I'm also an audio engineer and a producer. And this is a PSA to all of you who hire voice talent who are working out of their maybe not-so-pro-sounding home studios. Times have changed quickly, right? And you might be surprised to know that a lot of voice talent actually don't even know how to operate, let alone have a pro-sounding home studio. When hiring voice actors, their home studio quality may seem good enough for, basic auditioning purposes, but when it comes to game day and recording your final project, many of their studios and their audio engineering skills just won't hold up to make it sound pro or even great. The recording session takes longer due to tech issues the talent's trying to figure out live on the call while your client's sitting there waiting. Their audio keeps distorting. Then you have to get pickups and schedule more sessions, and it just ends up costing you more time and money just to get good enough audio. I've been performing and engineering out of my pro home studio for over a decade now. I've recorded AAA video games, national TV commercials, even voiceover that's used in feature films, all in this studio via Source Connect, ISDN, Skype, IPDTL, you name it, I got it. Let's check out how my voiceover setup sounds and works when you work with me. This is a sample of what it sounds and looks like, but most importantly, I'm in a triple wall STUDIOBRICKS. It's their Pro model. It's the thickest model you can get, and I'm currently talking into the NEUMANN TLM 103 microphone, and I can actually switch over to this 416 that's back here instantly. So now I'm talking into the 416, and here we go, la-di-da-di-da-di-doo, and going back to the TLM 103 just for the rest of the video because I don't have to twist as much. I'm recording into my Universal Apollo Twin X audio interface, which is currently running the AVALON 737 preamp or channel strip. There's a lot of pro studios that use this as their standard, and guess what? I actually know how to use it, so don't worry, I'm not going to make it sound like crap. A lot of talent load up these plugins and they just don't know what they're doing. I happen to be an audio engineer and a nerd, so you will never get overly processed audio that sounds like this, where it sounds really hyped and nasty. It'll actually sound smooth and clear and natural. Oh, and if you want to get really nerdy, if you have an audio engineer who wants to dial in my exact settings, he can either remote into my studio using screen share and just dial in the settings themselves, or I can actually just take your directions. So you want an attack of, 5 milliseconds, keep it nice and fast. You want your compression ratio to be 3:1. I can dial it down to that for you. And let's say you want your threshold set to, negative 10 dB and a high pass filter set up to maybe 72 hertz. I got you covered, and it won't destroy anything. But let's just say you want something clean and you don't want any emulations whatsoever. I can turn the AVALON off with the touch of a button. Boom, and there you go. No preamp emulation. This is just the built-in preamp on the Universal Apollo Twin. Clean as it gets. Now let's talk about noise floor or background noise. As you notice, my booth is dead silent. You can't hear anything. Right? That's what you want in your recording. And a lot of time in home studios from other talent, you might get, or they could be recording on a really cheap mic and it might sound like this. Yikes. You don't want that in your recordings. You want it to sound as quiet and clean as possible, just as it sounds right now. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm actually an audio engineer and a producer, so I can take a raw VO track that sounds just like this. It took decades of obsession for our craftsmen to perfect the Mazda 3. But it only takes a few seconds to feel every square inch of power behind the wheel. And then after producing it, adding music and some sound effects, it can end up sounding like this. It took decades of obsession for our craftsmen to perfect the Mazda 3. But it only takes a few seconds to feel every square inch of power behind the wheel. Pretty cool, right? Well, there you have it. You know how my studio sounds, you know how it works, and when you're working with me, you're going to get a killer sounding audio and even some production sauce if you want it on the side. Jordan Reynolds, voice actor and audio ninja, signing off.